Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley. I know you're jealous of my song, you know. Political leader of the People's National Movement and next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. You hear how easy that song? Chairman of the PNM, Mr. Franklin Khan. Senator Diane Chedi Baldeo Singh. Baldeo Chedi Singh, my deepest apologies. Our next MP for Tunapuna, your candidate, Mr. Esmond Ford. Our group of youthful, energetic, exciting, and talented candidates for the next general election, some of whom have been introduced to you tonight. Other members of the leadership of the PNM, supporters, friends, the media, good night. No, I don't like confusion and kankatang. So again, no bacchanal for me tonight. I'm a very peaceful man. I don't know why they make that song. People, have you seen what is taking place in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago today? I've been in Parliament since 1991. 24 years. I have never seen such an abuse of that institution, that constitutional institution, the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. An abuse. First they filed this foolish, nonsensical, absurd, vacuous, tenuous, frivolous, and vexatious motion, taking up our precious parliamentary time. They came with it on the 25th of March, almost 2 weeks ago. Total waste of time. After we talk, they put on 1, 2 non-entities. Then they adjourned the parliament to April the 8th yesterday. We thought they would do something important. No, they come back with this stupidness again. So we decided we weren't going to participate in that abuse of the parliament. You know, they adjourned the parliament again to the 17th of April. And they're coming back with this stupidness again. So that is almost 1 month of parliamentary time wasted. Parliament was designed, every parliament in every country is designed to do 3 things: to make laws, to debate the great issues of the day, and to hold the government to account. That's what a parliament is for. It's not for any other purpose and for elected representatives to represent and make representation on behalf of their constituents. For the last 3 weeks, and now going into a month, what has been going on in our parliament? It's a disgrace. And you know what they're doing? They are using parliamentary privilege. It's a cheap and despicable way to use parliamentary privilege to run their election campaign. Because they're saying, that's why I tell them come outside. Because they're saying things inside that they don't dare say outside. So they put it on the parliamentary record, and the speaker is allowing them to do that. Put all of this nastiness on the parliamentary record. All of these lies and outrageous, despicable allegations. It is being allowed. They're putting this nastiness on the record so that it could be published in the media. That's all they're doing. They're afraid to come outside. That's why I call them cowards and I tell them come outside. Well, as long as they continue to waste the parliament's time and the people's time with that stupidness, we will have no part of it. We will come outside. And we are outside now. And we are afraid to talk. Not at all. So let them talk to themselves. Let them mumble and grumble to themselves and talk nonsense. They could go ahead. You know, the Prime Minister raised that motion. You know she ain't talk yet? She gone. She gone to America. Yesterday we had a motion, she gone to America. It's her motion, you know. She bring this motion in Dr. Rowling and she gone. So let's talk about serious matters because it's a distraction. They want you to get vexed. They want you to lose focus. They want you to take your eyes off of them and to get confused with all this confusion and this nonsense. Well, we have no intention of doing that. We will hold them to account because there's too much going on in this country. There is too much slackness going on in this country. Just yesterday before we left, there were questions for answers by ministers. And one of the questions posed by the leader of the opposition was about that shameless giveaway of public property in Chagaramas. Well, you know what's going on down there? They're giving away land, black is white. Free sheet, friends and family and financiers. That's what's going on. And a question was put to Botawari. And he was asked, what procedure are you using to give away the people land? What procurement procedure are you using? He get up and he say, none. Actually say that, you know. He say, no procurement procedure. People just send in a letter and we look at it. And if it's looking good, we give them the land. That's what Botawari say. When I hear that, I get up and I ask him a supplementary question. I say, after all this old talk about procurement legislation and you waste a whole 3 years and you bring new procurement legislation, after all that old talk, why are you not inviting competitive bids and using competitive tendering for the disposal of public property in Chagaramas? Now, 2 minutes before that, the man say, no procurement procedure. People just write letter and they look at it and if it look good, they give it to them. You know, and I ask him that, he get up and he say, yes, we invite competitive tenders. The man actually say that. So the man told an untruth in the space of 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And that is what you have to keep your eyes on, ladies and gentlemen. Things like that. Because they want to distract you. There is so much corruption going on within the government system, within the state enterprises. They are desperate because when I look at this government, I'm wondering what they're up to. And it has to be they have already come to the conclusion that they are going to lose the next general election. So they have to thief out everything they can between now and the time election call. And they have to create all of these distractions just to take your eyes off of it. Look at what happened over the Easter weekend. 9 murders in 6 days. When last that happened in Trinidad and Tobago? When last 9 murders in 6 days over Easter? For the first 3 months of this year, 100 people have been murdered. If they continue like that, it will be another 400 for 2015. But they're not talking about that. You don't hear the Prime Minister talk about that. You don't hear the Minister of National Security talk about that. You know why? Because they want to confuse us with this cat and dog stupidness and this nonsense in this motion of no confidence. Well, we will make them talk about it. Because in my community where I represent, people are now afraid to go out of their homes at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the night because we don't have adequate security in my area, in Long Circular, in the constituency of Diego Martin Northeast. And I'm calling on the Commissioner of Police and the Minister of National Security. Stop playing the fool. Do the job you're supposed to do. Just the other day we saw what police could do. They have roadblock all over the country. They shut down the whole country. Well, if police could do that, if you could be so strategic, if you could be so clinical, if you could be so expert in your execution that you could have roadblock all over the country and shut down Trinidad and Tobago, well, come and deal with my constituency and the gun violence and the gun crime in my constituency now. These are the things that we expect our government to deal with. Not all this childish, juvenile nonsense that they want us to get carried away with. You heard Paula Gopi-Skoon talk about the energy sector. I checked the price of oil today. It's $50. The budget is based on $80. We are losing billions of dollars every month as a country. What is the government doing about that? I haven't seen. They're still giving away things. They're giving out CPEP contract to a friend and family. They're giving away URP contract to a friend and family. They're giving out food cards, and I want to talk about these food cards. 2 months ago, I heard that a UNC activist was giving out food cards in my constituency. So I filed a motion in the parliament, and when they're ready to do serious business, we'll deal with that. But since I'm outside, I'm going to talk about it outside, because I'm not afraid. So 2 months ago, I heard that a UNC activist, who I have already beaten twice in my constituency, and if he come again, he'll get beaten for a third time. Hat trick of licks is what he will get, was giving out food cards in my constituency. I want to know how we get them. I want to call on the police. I want the police to investigate how the present Attorney General, how did he get possession of food cards, and how did he get the authority to hand out food cards in my constituency? I want the police to tell me what. I call on the Prime Minister to launch an investigation, and I am calling on the Commissioner of Police to tell me how can the current Attorney General be handing out food cards. And you know what on the cards? Diego Martin Northeast. And you know what is so interesting? A couple weeks ago, my office got a call from the Ministry of the People. They said, let Mr. Imbert know we have 50 food cards for distribution by the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Northeast, which is me. And we will be sending them to your constituency office. And we have some documents here. We want to record the name and the telephone number and the ID card number of everybody that you give it out to, make sure it's a needy case and so on. Well, I ain't vexed. I'm glad. But I said, when did this program start? They said January. So I said, what happened to my cards for January and February? They don't know. They give me cards for March. Somebody thieved my food cards. And I am calling on the, I'm not making a joke about this. I am going to write a formal complaint to the Commissioner of Police. I want to know how a UNC activist, what was he doing with the food cards that were supposed to be given to the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Northeast? Because I am the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Northeast. They thief it, yes. Damn well thief it. But it's all right. Time longer than twine. Now, the other thing you need to understand, the PNM will be in government soon. That is what we are planning for, and that is what we expect, that is what we hope, and that is what we are asking you to make sure that the PNM will be in government. Because, as I was telling Esmond Ford, it's all very well to have a massive crowd here in Tunapuna. How much people have here? 20,000? All they laughing? There are people from here all the way up to UWI, you know. But it's at least 10,000. It's a lot. I want to see every single person here translated into a vote on election day. Because PNM people have a habit. They like to complain. They like to bawl. But when you look for them on election day, they have to make breakfast. They're washing their hair. They have to go by the pharmacy. And you have to go by them 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock before you could get them to come and vote. I don't expect that from you in this 2015. The stakes are too high. But the PNM will be in government soon. And I'd like to talk about one of our policies, which has been literally put on ice and undermined by the present government. You realize how many cars they have on the roads in Trinidad and Tobago today? Just the other day we had a debate in Parliament. And one government minister, the Minister of Works, told us that there are over 700,000 cars in Trinidad and Tobago today. Now, we only have about 900,000 people over the age of 17. So it means there's a car for almost every eligible driver in Trinidad and Tobago. Over 700,000 cars. And growing. Because, cars are not so expensive now. It's not difficult to get a car. You can get a reasonable foreign used car for a fairly low price. It's not hard to own a car now. Have you noticed the amount of traffic in Trinidad and Tobago? I was driving through my constituency the other day, driving over the Moncoco Road. There's a village in the middle called Leplat Village. Now, when I was first elected, I could drive from one end of Leplat Village to the other and I wouldn't see one car. Today, any hour of the day, there are cars parked on one side of the road from one end of the village to the other end of the village. And you have to stop and you have to pull in and you have to let people pass and so on. And that tells me, that's an indication of what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago. Anywhere you drive on any road, any time of the day, Saturday, Sunday, public holiday, traffic. You're going in the east, you go at 9 o'clock, traffic. You go at 11 o'clock, traffic. 1 o'clock, traffic. You come in west, same thing, traffic. You're going south, any hour of the day. We have been screening in San Fernando. Our screening has been starting at 4 o'clock. I have to leave Port of Spain at 2 o'clock to reach San Fernando for 4 o'clock. So we in the PNM, we had recognized that this was a problem. Don't worry, it's a small shower. I hope it won't get any heavier. Don't worry, it's a small thing. We in the PNM had recognized that we would come to this point in Trinidad and Tobago. That we would get to the point where our roads are chock-a-block with traffic. Where if you're working in Port of Spain and you're living in Arima, you have to get up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning in order to make it in town in time for work. We had recognized that this would happen. So we decided to analyze the problem and determine what is the best solution to this problem. And we came to the conclusion that the only solution for our traffic problem was a railway system. Now let me tell you why a railway is the best thing. You hear people talk about bus. But these foolish people who tell us buses could solve our problem, they forget to tell you that that same bus driving on the same road with the taxi, the maxi taxi, the private car, the truck, taking up the same road space, competing for space outside there with all of the other vehicles on the road. So what is the point of buying buses? You have buses, okay, you have them now, and you sit down in the bus for 3 hours from Arima to Port of Spain. Waste of time. All over the world, countries have faced this problem. And all over the world, they solve this problem with a railway. And you know why? A bus could carry 50 people. A train could carry 500 people. The train travels on a different track. It doesn't travel in the same location as the car. So it doesn't compete for space with the car. So we had decided the only solution for our traffic problem was a railway. So we went about the whole process of arranging for a railway. And can you imagine, let's say you live in Arima, or even you live here in St. Augustine, Tunapuna, and the railway passing right there. And you go outside and you jump on the train and in 10 minutes you're in Port of Spain. Can you imagine that, ladies and gentlemen? That was our vision for Trinidad and Tobago. The trip from Arima to Port of Spain would have taken no more than 25 minutes. The trip from Port of Spain to San Fernando would have taken about 35 minutes. That was our vision, our dream for Trinidad and Tobago. So we went ahead to organize this program. And the first phase of the program, when you're doing any big project, you have to plan. And you have to do your studies. And you have to do your surveys. And you have to do your designs. So the first phase of this project was planning and engineering. So we hired consultants. They went all over Trinidad. They checked to where the railway track should be. They determined where all the railway stations should be, what land we have to acquire, what it would cost, what kind of trains we should use. We are in fact coming up with double-decker trains that could carry 1,000 people. So the same train taking up the same space, but it's a double-decker, so it carrying, instead of carrying 500, carrying 1,000 people, which is equivalent to 20 buses, one train. So we came, we looked at all of that, the type of train, the type of track, where the stations would be, what the stations would have in them, how much it would cost, whether we would use electricity to power the trains, or whether we would use diesel, and the organizational structure of the new railway company, how it would be managed, how these trains would be maintained. That was the phase one. And any project you're doing, you have to plan it first. Because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So the P&M awarded the contract. The consultants completed their planning and engineering. Regrettably, a snap election was called. We went out of office, and this government has sat down on those plans and those designs for the last 5 years, and they've done absolutely nothing about your traffic problem. And I'm giving you an assurance here tonight that one of the first projects that the P&M will implement as soon as we get into office is a railway system from Port of Spain to Arima and from Tunapuna to San Fernando. And we'll do it in phases. We're not doing everything one time. We'll do from Port of Spain to Curep first, then from Curep maybe to Maloney, then from Maloney to Arima, from Curep to Shogunas, and so on. We ain't doing everything one time. But as we do it in phases and we open up each segment and you allow thousands of people to come off the road, leave their cars at home, and travel in comfort, in air-conditioned comfort, getting into Port of Spain in 10, 15 minutes. One of the beauties about a train, too, those of you who have ever traveled abroad in a train, you realize you sit down there, you have a table, you have a work area, children can do their homework, people can prepare for their work day and so on in the train, because these are how these trains are designed. That is what this P&M government promises you. We promise you that. And we are going to do adequate consultation with every other provider of public transportation in Trinidad and Tobago. We are going to make sure that the maxi taxis and the taxis are incorporated into this system, so they will feed people into the stations. So what we will be asking maxi taxis to do is to provide transportation for you from your home to the railway station, and then the train will take you into Port of Spain or Arima or San Fernando, as the case may be. And we're not making joke, we're doing that in year one. Year one, they have wasted 5 years. And now you're frustrated, you're tired. I don't like to drive anymore. When I get outside, I don't like to drive anymore, apart from the fact that the discipline on our roads has just broken down. People driving mad and crazy. And they do that because they're frustrated because of the traffic. So there'll be all sorts of benefits coming out of this plan. But I want to come back to something. You know, I have been asking questions in the parliament over the last 2 years. And they don't like to answer my questions. They run from them. I asked a question because I got information about the central bank. Over 1 year ago, I asked a question. How many people have been employed at the central bank since the new governor, who the UNC put into the central bank, has been appointed? Simple question. How many people, new people, have been employed at the central bank since the new UNC appointed governor has been put in the central bank? What are their qualifications? Did you advertise the position? Did you conduct interviews? And what criteria did you use to employ these people? They let a whole session of Parliament lapse and they refused to answer the question. You know why? Because I know the answer. It's over 200 people who have been employed at the central bank under very peculiar circumstances. And if they had to answer and tell us whether they advertise all the positions and what are the qualifications of the persons and whether they interviewed them and whether they hired the people who came first in the interview, they would have been severely embarrassed. So they let a whole year pass, no answer. I say, no problem. I ask the question again. This year, now we have new standing orders. So no longer a government could run and hide. So when you don't answer a question, the Parliament now writes you a letter and tells you to answer the question. So we get the answer yesterday. Remember, I asking this question over 18 months. Let me repeat the question. How many people hired at the central bank since the new UNC appointed governor came in? What are their qualifications? What process you use? Did you advertise the post? Did you conduct interviews? That's the question. 18 months I can't answer that. You know what answer I get yesterday? It's a secret. They put that in writing. They give us a written response. They tell us it's a secret. We're not telling you. So people, you have to understand what is going on in this country. Over 200 people employed at the central bank under very peculiar circumstances. And when you ask them, all we want to know is what's going on. We want to know if what we're hearing is true. We don't know. We're simply asking questions. It's a secret. I ask another question. Some of you may know about the Apsara restaurant around the Savannah, East Indian food. We discovered that the National Insurance Board, under some fellow who I understand might want to contest against Mr. Esmond Ford and get the cocktail of his life. That's my understanding. But some body in national insurance decided that they will buy Apsara restaurant. They paid $37 million for the restaurant. Those of you who know Apsara is a little building around the Savannah, you know, by KD's Road. They had a valuation. The National Insurance Board went and commissioned a valuer to do a valuation. The valuation was $16.5 million. The owners of the property sent in their own valuation for $29 million. They buy it for $37 million. So I asked a question. I asked the Minister of Finance, did you buy Apsara restaurant? How much you pay for it? How big is the building? How old is the building? Did you have a valuation? Never answer the question. And that is what I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the things that they want us to forget. They are hoping, and before I close, they are hoping that this campaign against Dr. Rowley will get you so agitated and get you so angry that you will forget about things like this. But I could tell you I ain't going to forget about them. That's why I come outside and I pose these questions. I'm not talking inside. I'm talking outside. I want to know who thief my food cards. But before I close, don't fall for the bait. They want to portray Dr. Rowley as an angry man. And they want to portray Kamala as a soft woman. Don't fall for that. Running a country have nothing to do with man and woman. It is who is most competent to do the job. Don't fall for that. And don't get vexed. And don't let them get you angry. Because who vexed lost. Just focus on your party. From time to time, as I have announced tonight, that we intend to go full speed ahead with a railway system. Full speed ahead. And from time to time, we'll let you know what our plans are for other areas of the economy and other areas of the country and the society. You're going to hear about this on PNM platforms. That is what you want to focus on. And make sure that all of your friends, your family, your associates are registered. Because a lot of people are not registered. Make sure you're registered to vote. And especially in the marginal seats, like Tunapuna, it is very important that you are registered to vote. And it is very important that you actually do vote. So I ask you tonight, ignore them. I wouldn't say ignore what. I will just say ignore them. Ignore them. Keep your focus on the People's National Movement. Keep your eyes on the prize. Get ready. Get mobilized. Get your energy up. Get ready for that day. It won't be long. The parliament dissolves automatically in June. And they could run, but they can't hide. The election will be held in this year. And once you do what you have to do, you will see how great is the People's National Movement. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM.
Speaker,
and it shall
this motion
be
is
great.
frivolous and vexatious. This motion is childish.